Goodrich. We begin with breaking news out of Tallahassee, Florida. In about 30 minutes from now, police are expected to give an update on a shooting on the Florida State University campus that sent 6 people to the hospital. The suspected shooter is in custody. Now, police responded to an active shooting call near the campus student union around noon. Classes and all events have been canceled for the remainder of the day. So let's go to CBS News senior coordinating producer Anna Schechner. What is the latest that you're hearing right now from law enforcement?
Well, it's good to be with you. Law enforcement that I'm talking to down in Tallahassee, they are careful. They don't want to reveal anything to undercut the chief of police, who will be speaking at 4:30. So they are holding firm to what we can confirm, what we've confirmed from the local hospital that received victims, all with gunshot wounds, 6 injured, 5 in serious condition, 1 in critical condition. So that is the latest that CBS News here at the network can confirm that we got from the hospital. We also learned that the suspect has been injured, but is also in custody, was taken into custody a while ago, at least an hour ago. That investigative process looking at motive has already begun in tandem. Of course, police have been furiously working to secure the campus. The campus authorities now say that the threat has been neutralized, but that student union building where the shots were fired, that remains an active crime scene, and local police are telling the public and students, staff, and faculty do not go near that area for any reason. They, of course, have to clear the area. They would have been concerned about some potential other weapon or explosive. They wanted to make sure that the campus remained safe for students to return back to. So that's where we are at this time.
Okay, that's a great update, and obviously students are able to go back to their dorms or somewhere to a safe spot. I'm curious, Tallahassee police officers, they were actually conducting training exercises, part of a drill. There were kind of shots fired in the area as part of a drill. Was that confusing at the time to students to hear that on top of the actual shooting that was happening?
That's exactly right, and it's a great point. Students had already been told about this training exercise that was going to be taking place from 12 noon through 8 p.m. And the shooter, those shots were fired right around 12 noon. And so a local eyewitness told our station down in Tallahassee that he heard upwards of 30 shots fired. At least one student posted to social media that it might have been confusing. They were aware that there was this training going on, and so it certainly is a question that is being investigated right now. Was that confusing to students? Did they think when they heard those shots fired that this was all part of the pre-scheduled, pre-planned training session? I would note also that given the training session, that might have helped law enforcement get there and get on the scene very quickly. You saw an enormous presence, local, state, federal agents, all on the scene very quickly, which was important to secure the scene and apprehend the suspect as quickly as possible to prevent any further victimization.
Yeah, that is a good point. Now let's talk about the suspect. Obviously, it's an active investigation. The suspect is in custody. Do we have any information as to who the suspect is? Is he a student? Did he come off from the off campus onto campus? What do we know?
The only thing right now that we know is that the suspect was injured, and so we don't know to what extent. We don't even know if the suspect is able to be questioned, is able to answer questions from investigators. Likely the individual is, just because we were able to hear relatively quickly, within a couple of hours, from police that the suspect was apprehended. But we are waiting. We are just less now than 30 minutes away from a scheduled press conference with the Tallahassee police chief. Police have been very tight-lipped when I call them in the last few hours with the numbers of victims, because they didn't want to give any wrong information out. So all the information that we've had about victims is that they were all victims of gunshot wounds. There's 6 in total, and that has all come from the hospital. There have been a flurry of reports about what kind of weapon was used, what other weapon might have been on the suspect's person or in the suspect's vehicle. But at this time, we have no confirmation of that. We are waiting to hear all of those details, and I expect we will get quite a few details from the Tallahassee Chief of Police at 4:30 p.m. They are right now setting up a podium for the chief to address the media. There will be multiple media down there. There will likely be an opportunity to ask questions before the chief provides those basic numbers of victims, the current state of the suspect, and I do expect that we'll get an ID on the suspect at 4:30. But that is, we aren't 100% sure, but generally once they've called the press conference, given that several hours have passed, I do expect that we will learn some more information about the individual. And we see there that podium set up where our cameras will be waiting. Hopefully it will begin on time at 4:30 and we'll start to learn more information.
All right, thank you. We'll be standing by for that new information. Anna Schechter, thank you so much. Our CBS News partners in Miami have been covering the story all day. Reporters there talked to an FSU student who says he had to barricade himself in an office after hearing gunfire on campus.
And you're a student?
Yes, at Florida State.
What year?
Senior.
Senior.
Yeah.
And so, just talk about what happened.
Yeah, I was in class and it was about 1 o'clock and the shots rang out and we were like, is that construction going on or what was happening? And so we got up, looked out the window, and I remember looking outside and hearing 5 more shots go off. And I was like, what's going on? So I saw kids running away from the student union, and I walked away from the window. Then I walked back to the window and heard 6, 7 more shots ring out. And at that point we were like, okay, there's a shooting going on. So we ran from our classroom, went to the offices, locked the doors, barricaded ourselves in there, and then we waited and was looking out the window again and saw the SWAT teams pull up, the police cars, the FBI come, and at that point we were like, okay, we got to bunker ourselves in. And we were praying, we were like, okay, something's got to change here. And the SWAT team came into the room. They're like, stay where you are, don't move. And we were in there for about 30 minutes. And at that point we were escorted out. About 100 SWATs were inside the building, and our hands were up. And so then we were escorted outside past the union and then into a safe space.
What was going through your mind when all this was unfolding?
Yeah, I was completely in shock. I didn't think this could happen at Florida State. I mean, we're a pretty safe campus, but yeah, this was just like unheard of to me. I never had been in a school shooting before, an active shooter. This is like first time for me, and I was honestly in shock. My hands were shaking. Just adrenaline kicked in, and I really didn't know what to do. I started tearing up. Just like I was scared, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you just saw, you just heard the shots. You didn't see anything.
Yeah, I didn't see the shooter, but I saw the kids running away. I heard some screaming. Yeah, and the shots, like 3 rounds of like 5 shots, and then 7 shots. So it must have been some back and forth going on. Yeah.
Yeah. And how are you doing now?
Good. I've recovered a lot. A lot of people have been texting me. People from out of state, University of Michigan friends have been texting me. People from South Florida have been texting me. People from high school have been texting me. Doing a lot better. It's been a great community that has surrounded me since then. I definitely didn't think I'd be traumatized as much as I have. Definitely not being on the scene, but being kind of away from it. But yeah, it's been scary. So I'm doing a lot better now. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Is there anything that you wish would have happened differently?
Yeah, no, I think the police responded very quickly. I think they did a great job. Yeah, I don't really know what could have happened. Maybe there's more police presence at certain areas for there not to be a shooter. I mean, I think that's just like the most obvious thing. But
and you're listening to a Florida State University student's account of what happened when he heard the gunshots and actually had to barricade himself and wait until he could find safety. And there was a report that you heard his firsthand accounts of what he heard and what he saw and how he's feeling right now. Obviously, this is video right now of police on campus as they were reacting to the shooting and trying to find the suspect, and students there inside, barricading inside. CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman joining us now. So, Willie, what has the White House been saying? What's their reaction to the shooting at Florida State University?
Hey there, Juliet. Good to be with you this afternoon. Well, President Trump is reacting to this, and we heard from him a short while ago when he was sitting down with the Italian Prime Minister as she was visiting here in the Oval Office. So let's take a listen to what the president said earlier.
I've been briefed on the Florida State University, Tallahassee active shooting. I guess it's an active shooter. Fully briefed as to where we are right now. It's a shame. It's a horrible thing. Horrible that things like this take place. And we'll have more to say about it later.
Now, we, of course, know via a statement from the press secretary that the White House continues to watch and monitor this event as it develops. And the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, she sent out a statement via X, and she said the FBI is on the scene at Florida State and that they are in communication with agents on the ground there. So certainly the White House, I should say, and the Trump administration watching these events closely as they develop.
Yeah, Willie, his reaction coming just as he was sitting down with Italian Prime Minister to talk about trade. So if we can kind of switch gears a little bit, what were they talking about before he addressed the shooting?
Yeah, that's right. This was a meeting that White House officials essentially say was on the books, that it didn't necessarily happen because the president announced those reciprocal tariffs against the European Union and other nations around the world. Remember, the tariff policies that the president have put into place not only include those reciprocal tariffs, in this case 20% for the EU and 10% baseline tariff. This includes steel and aluminum tariffs of 25%. And 25% tariffs on foreign-made vehicles as well. The European Union exports a significant amount of vehicles here to the U.S., with those foreign manufacturers having a lot of big business here. They also have factories here as well, but still those foreign auto parts would perhaps get that tariff, that increased tariff or tax, if you will, being imported here. That was a main topic of conversation, but the Prime Minister of Italy noting that essentially she doesn't have power to negotiate on behalf of the EU, that she would potentially extend an invitation for the president to come to Italy where they can sit down and talk about that problem at large with other European leaders. Let's remember that Italy, of course, is an important country to the partnership between the United States and that nation. But this prime minister in particular, they talked about their relationship. The president said that they have a good relationship there. And I want to also point out something that the Italian prime minister said. She said that she wants to make the West great again. Of course, that sounds very familiar to President Trump's campaign slogan. She perhaps is one of the people that the Europeans consider a Trump whisperer, so to speak, somebody who can level with a president who thinks very similarly to how the president thinks in terms of his policies and politics when it comes to immigration and other topics of mind for President Trump. Juliet.
All right, we're also following a rift between the president and Fed Chair Jerome Powell. In fact, Trump had said Powell's termination, quote, cannot come fast enough. So my question is, does he have the power to fire Powell?
Yeah, it's unclear what method or what law President Trump would use to eliminate or get rid of Fed Chair Jerome Powell. The chairman, he has said essentially that he would not step down. He was asked about this months ago. He also said that no president essentially has the power to demote or remove the chairman of the Federal Reserve. President Trump has really let it be known how he feels about Powell, essentially because he's not lowering interest rates. The president wants to get rid of those high interest interest rates. He wants the chairman to lower those interest rates. In part, this topic of conversation came up in response to what the president sees as criticism of his tariff policy when Jerome Powell mentioned the effects that the tariff policies that President Trump has announced the impact that it can have on the U.S. economy in terms of raising inflation. That is certainly something that neither the Fed chair or the president wants to see, and the Fed chair mentioned that, and that's perhaps why we're seeing this here. But I'll note any way to try to remove the chairman of the Federal Reserve could likely see court challenges come about, because this is something that would be unprecedented, something that really just hasn't happened before. But as we've seen in the several weeks and months that President Trump, since he's been back in the White House for the second term, he sought to test those limits in terms of his executive power and authority as president. Juliet.
All right, Willie James Inman. Willie, thank you so much. More coverage on the Florida State shooting on campus. Tallahassee police are expected to give an update on the investigation. We'll be standing by for that and bringing that to you live. Stay with us. You're watching CBS News 24/7. And welcome back. You're looking live at a podium where police are expected to give an update on a shooting on the Florida State University campus that sent 6 people to the hospital. That's expected to start in just a few minutes. We're monitoring that, and we'll bring it to you live on CBS News 24/7. A father whose daughter called him right after the shooting had this to say about her safety and gun violence on school campuses.
As a father, my wife's in the car and a mother, we are concerned for our daughter, but at least we're talking to our daughter and know that she is safe. Our hearts and prayers and minds are to anyone who's possibly had a child or a relative who's been injured or possible loss of life. And I know everyone's going to say, no, don't rush to gun policy. Maybe some mental issues here or something, but we got to do something about that.
And a witness who was on the campus told our local Tallahassee station what he saw as gunshots were fired on the FSU campus.
People started rushing to the back and everyone just started running out of the student union. So I made my way back out where the old bookstore is. About a minute later, we heard about 8 to 10 gunshots.
And then you mentioned that you saw someone that appeared to have been shot next to you? Or
yeah,
behind?
So there was another gentleman that was running away, and looks like he was shot in the pelvic area, and he laid down and he got help and assistance from the police.
Again, police are expected to give an update on the shooting at the Florida State University campus that sent 6 people to the hospital. It's expected to start in just a few minutes. The podium is there. The microphones are set up. We're just waiting for authorities to take the podium there. We'll bring that to you live as it happens on CBS News 24/7. Meantime, there is an update in the case of the Maryland father mistakenly deported to El Salvador. We are hearing that an appeals court just issued a scathing ruling blasting the Trump administration. So let's bring in CBS News Justice Department reporter Jake Rosen. I know you've been closely watching the developments. What can you tell us?
Well, that's right. It was a 3-0 decision, and the Trump administration had appealed the judge's order in which she demanded daily updates by 5 p.m. every day of what the Trump administration is doing to bring back Kilmar Abrego Garcia. She even admitted in saying and ordering this in the first place that the Trump administration does not need to actually say that they're doing anything so long as they're answering. But what they've given her, besides acknowledging that Mr. Abrego Garcia is alive and stable in this prison, is no updates. And as we saw from the last couple of days of this development, they've even gone so far to basically point to the conversation Monday in the Oval Office and say that that was basically the end of the story, that the president of El Salvador says he's not returning him. That is that. In this decision, a Reagan-appointed federal judge said that it is difficult in some cases to get to the very heart of the matter, but in this case, it's not hard at all. And they said if there was any evidence that the government felt that they could apply in court to prove that he is a gang member, then the government should be confident that they would win on the merits in any kind of immigration case once he's brought back to the United States, and that the Supreme Court's decision last week does not allow the government to do essentially nothing, which across now we've seen 2 sets of judges say that the Supreme Court or that the Trump administration has not listened to its order to take steps to return Mr. Abrego Garcia. We'll see. It's very likely that the Trump administration even tries to appeal this to the Supreme Court, saying that a federal judge would have no responsibility to even order the administration to do anything and provide any more information. But as of right now, really another stunning rebuke of what the Trump administration has said they're doing, which is nothing to bring him back, and that they have no intention of bringing him back in this case.
Yeah, so then what are the next steps in the case?
Well, there's going to be an expedited fact-finding process by this judge. She said by next Wednesday she would like all of the depositions in this case for government officials, including 2 ICE officials, a State Department official, and a Homeland Security official, to all provide sworn testimony to her about what they know about the efforts, if any, have ever been underway to return Mr. Abrego Garcia. In addition to that, she's also asked for the government to comply, and they have said that they would do this so far. We'll see whether that is true at the end of this 2-week period, but to answer a number of questions about Mr. Abrego Garcia's current status and other steps that they're taking. Certainly the judge is well aware of the political pressure on her and the fact that it's going to be very difficult for a judge to order his return to the United States from El Salvador, but the argument the entire time by Mr. Abrego Garcia's attorneys, and at least in the opinion of this judge so far, is that the United States does have the ability to bring him back because they're paying for him to be in that Salvadoran prison.
All right, Jake Rosen, thank you so much. Let's get to some more breaking news out of Houston. Southwest passengers were forced to evacuate using slides today after a plane made an emergency landing at the Hobby Airport. The Southwest jet was set to depart at 11 a.m. local time, bound for the Los Cabos International Airport in Mexico. After takeoff, the pilot declared an emergency and returned to Houston. The airline says that 134 passengers were on board. No injuries reported. No official word yet from the airline on what went wrong, but the Houston Fire Department says they responded after hearing reports of an engine fire. We are watching Wall Street one day after Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell sent stocks tumbling with a warning President Trump's tariffs could lead to inflation. So today, the Dow fell 500 points. Let's take a look at our interactive stock market heat map. It's brought to you by FinViz. We show it to you every day, showing the top 500 stocks. You can see it is a mixed bag right now. So CBS News contributor J.D. Durkin joins us live from the New York Stock Exchange. Boy, J.D., Powell is certainly sounding the alarm over these tariffs. There's a rift between the president and Powell. What do you make of all this, and what do you make of the markets today?
I mean, it really is a pretty incredible back and forth here between Jerome Powell, the chairman of the central bank, and of course the president, who has not been shy to express his disapproval, his skepticism, even his outright frustrations at times with Jerome Powell's kind of agency over at the central bank, and really pretty stunning comments, I think, from the president on Truth Social earlier today, referring to saying of Jerome Powell, termination cannot come soon enough. Of course, now that opens up a floodgates of legal questions about whether or not the president actually has the authority to remove the chairman of the central bank. So a lot of legal ambiguity about how that plays itself forward. But in terms of the overall market performance yesterday, yes, there was a lot of frustration, I'm sure, from investors when Jerome Powell spoke openly. But it really appears as if the dual mandate that the Fed has might kind of be working against each other right now, with a concern for Jerome Powell that both inflation might tick up on the one hand, but unemployment might tick up on the other. And those two things don't usually go hand in hand for a central bank that is trying to get inflation closer to its target of 2%. Certainly no easy task for Jerome Powell at the Fed. And on top of all this, you got the politics of it. Trump on one side, Powell for the other. Powell, a very disciplined messenger, never going to needlessly get into the political back and forth, but certainly the same cannot be said for the president, who certainly once again today, very quick to express his disapproval with Jerome Powell's job atop the Fed.
Yeah, very clear. All right, let's talk about a big mover in the market, specifically United Healthcare. What's going on there?
Yeah, this is the nation's largest provider of Medicare Advantage, and we've got more than 33 million Americans who are Medicare Advantage recipients. And today was the earnings call for United Healthcare, and really shocked investors. This is probably the worst earnings call that the company's had in well over a decade. The first earnings miss for the company going all the way back to 2008. Historically, United Healthcare, ticker symbol UNH. This is something that investors like to hold for consistency. It is a dividend-paying stock. It is also the most weighted company in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So if you put up that heat map and you looked and you try and decipher why is the Dow down so much today versus the Nasdaq and the S&P, it's because the Dow is a price-weighted index and UNH has a very high price per share. And we saw the company really get rocked. And I think what really caught the company off guard for the first quarter was just the cost of Medicare Advantage accessibility for people. And so the company was forced to slash their forecasts for the rest of the year. Certainly not the type of under-the-hood metrics financially that investors in United Healthcare wanted to see, because it is, without a doubt, the most important name out of the Dow 30 components. That really helps explain not just the 22% drop that we had in the stock earlier today, but also really helps underscore the overall challenge for the Dow as we head into this 3-day weekend.
All right, J.D. Durkin, thanks so much as always. Any moment now, Tallahassee police are expected to give an update on the investigation. We want to bring it to you live. The podium's set up, the microphones are there. We're waiting for investigators to give us the latest information. We'll bring that to you. You're watching CBS News 24/7.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm John Dickerson. A press conference in Tallahassee has just started in the wake of this afternoon's shooting at Florida State University. We know at least 6 people were taken to hospital, and the suspect who was injured is in custody. Let's listen.
In Tallahassee are canceled through Friday, April 18th. Essential employees should check with their supervisors for further reporting instructions. All FSU athletic events in Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. At approximately 11:50 a.m. Thursday, April 17th, a gunman opened fire on the main campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee, shooting multiple individuals in the vicinity of the Student Union building. FSU police responded immediately, engaged, neutralized, and apprehended the shooter. 2 victims of deceased are deceased, and 5 individuals have been transported to a local hospital with gunshot wounds. The shooter has also been transported to a local hospital. The 2 deceased are not students. The shooter is believed to be a current FSU student. I do not have additional information on the shooter's identity at this time. Students who need assistance can go to the Donald L. Tucker Center, where the university is providing counseling, health care, and other support services. Family members are also able to go to the Tucker Center for assistance. Students, faculty, and staff are asked to call their loved ones as soon as possible to update them on their status. The student union and the surrounding area is still considered an active crime scene. Individuals should avoid the area. Students should not return to the student union to retrieve personal property at this time. Students may return to their residence halls, but they should otherwise stay indoors on main campus to allow first responders and university staff to do their jobs and respond to those needing assistance. Students may depart campus for the weekend. All classes have been canceled through Friday. Before I turn this over to Chief Revel, I want to thank all the brave men and women of the FSU PD for responding immediately to the scene. I also want to thank the responding agencies who have provided assistance to FSU today big time, including the Tallahassee Police Department, the Leon County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Highway Patrol, Leon County Emergency Medical Services, FDLE, and all other responding agencies today. We really appreciate your support. That's all the information I have at this time. We'll have additional update for you later today. Chief Revel.
Good afternoon. I am Chief Revel with the Tallahassee Police Department. As the shooting occurred today, our officers, as well as every single other officer in this city and county, responded immediately to this scene. Once on scene and once we began working through what was occurring and what we were working in consultation with FSU, Tallahassee Police Department was asked to take lead on this. So we will be the lead for this investigation in both the officer involved shooting portion of this as well as the homicide portion of this. I will come up after the last speaker and entertain just a few questions. But needless to say, we have multiple crime scenes. This is a very large area we're covering. We have thousands, hundreds of thousands, or hundreds or thousands of witnesses. And again, this is an active, ongoing investigation. So the information that we will be allowed to release right now may be fairly limited. I'll answer what I can at that time. But I will assure you that as soon as we can, any information that becomes available, we will make that available to you. One of the things in the process, and again, understand that this is an ongoing, active investigation. So things are happening as we are standing here and as we are speaking. We have identified the shooter, obviously. He's at the hospital. So with more on that, I'm going to allow the sheriff to come up and speak on that portion of it.
Thank you, Chief. As Chief Rebel indicated, I'm Walt McNeil, Leon County Sheriff. First and foremost, let me express our gratitude to the responding law enforcement agencies in this community. Our citizens should feel some degree of comfort knowing that your law enforcement agencies are going to respond and do exactly what we did in this case, that is bring the offender to justice and to make sure that we do what we can to make sure we lock him or her up. Let me say to you, this is obviously a heinous crime. Our deepest condolences go out to the FSU family, the families of the students who are here. And we understand that you all have been devastated because of this person's actions. The question as it relates to who is the shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. And he's the son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Our Deputy Eichner, has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. She has a tremendous job that she's done. Her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we will continue that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to. The alleged shooter was also a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Citizen Advisory or Youth Advisory Council. So he has been steeped in the Leon County Sheriff's Office family, engaged in a number of training programs that we have. So it's not a surprise to us that he had access to weapons. This event is tragic in more ways than you people in the audience could ever fathom from a law enforcement perspective. But I will tell you this, we will make sure that we do everything we can to prosecute and make sure that we send a message to folks that this will never be tolerated here in Leon County, and I dare say across this state and across this nation. Thank you. Let me bring up the FBI Assistant Special Agent in charge, Hubert Reynolds.
Good afternoon. My name is Hubert Reynolds, and I'm the Acting Special Agent in charge of the Jacksonville Field Office. I want to echo those standing with me what a horrific crime this is, and we stand with you fully. We have an office here in Tallahassee, and we are fully engaged with providing any resources that we can bring to bear to help with this investigation moving forward. We've established a digital tips media line where you can upload photos, videos prior to and during the incident. If you're there from social media, please upload all of that. I will give you now the website address. You can upload any tips to www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. Again, that's www.fbi.gov/FSU shooting. I want to assure you that we are going to bring every available resource to be able to help the community and the local people here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Richard McCullough, Rick McCullough, president of Florida State University. This is a tragic day for Florida State University. We're absolutely heartbroken by the violence that occurred on our campus earlier today. 2 have died. 5 other innocents are being treated for their injuries. We're working to support the victims, their families, and everyone affected by this traumatic event. I just returned from the hospital. The First Lady and I met some of our students who were the victims. Our hearts go out to our students and the victims of this terrible tragedy. I have to say that our law enforcement, our FSU police officers, absolute heroes in this regard. The call went out, someone called it in, and immediately they responded to the scene and immediately neutralized the suspect and prevented this from being a bigger tragedy. I want to thank them so much for what they do to try to keep our students safe. I want to thank all the law enforcement partners, FSU Police, Tallahassee Police, Leon County, Sheriff's Department, Florida Highway Patrol, and Florida Department Law Enforcement, and all other responding agencies for their rapid and courageous response. I want to thank everybody that came out to visit with the students and help us, and to be here today for this press conference. And I appreciate so much the support that you're all providing to our university and to our students. We're fully cooperating with the investigation, and we defer to law enforcement as they continue their work. I'd also like to thank all the healthcare providers at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. They're treating and providing outstanding care to our victims. Right now, our top priority is safety and well-being for all the people in our campus. As it was said, classes are canceled. On the main campus today and tomorrow, and all FSU athletics events on Tallahassee are canceled through Sunday. We also want to tell you that counseling and psychological services are available to students, faculty, and staff, and anyone that needs that should call 850-644-2003. We're also providing support for faculty and staff through our Employee Assistance Program. And so if you need any help, please reach out. We'll continue to communicate with the campus community as we know more. This is a deeply emotional time, but we're all here to support each other. We're going to do everything we can to support our community. We're a strong and united community. We're family. And so we'll take care of all of you. And we'll get through this together. Thank you.
All right, at this time we will take a few questions. Let me just reiterate, this was a massive response of law enforcement personnel. Our federal, state, local partners have continued to build relationships that long preceded this event. And that came into great play today in the seamless way that we all came together to work these events. But I know you'll have some specific questions. I will tell you right now, we are not going to talk about the victims other than the fact that there are 6 of them, 2 additional deceased, and then the suspect. So 9 total persons. 9 total persons. Yes, sir.
Have you all been able to talk to the suspect at all? Any idea about motive?
The suspect invoked his rights not to speak to us.
Chief, do we know if the weapon that was used was his parents' service weapon? And if so, what are the rules around storing service weapons?
Right. No, that's a good question. This weapon was a weapon that the deputy previously used. A lot of times, many agencies, mine included, when we transition to a new handgun, the officers are allowed to purchase the handgun they used prior. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sheriff, but I believe that's the case here. This was a handgun that deputy used prior to them transitioning to a new handgun, and so it was her personal handgun.
Is she on the put on leave or?
The sheriff would have to speak to that.
We will do a thorough investigation to look at all aspects of it. There's no cause right now that we're aware of that require her to be placed on any kind of suspension or otherwise.
Yes, ma'am.
We've been hearing stuff that it was a deputy who was a school resource officer. Is that true?
That is correct.
Chief, those injured, those killed, or any of those members of law enforcement?
I'm sorry?
Anyone who died in the shooting or was injured in the shooting, were any of them members of law enforcement, whether it be the...
No, they were not. They were not. Yes, sir.
When law enforcement arrived, did the suspects engage with them, or did he surrender immediately?
No, they challenged him and ended up shooting. He did not comply with commands and was shot.
Did he fire at officers?
I do not believe he fired at officers.
We've heard that Phoenix may be autistic. Are you able to confirm that detail?
I do not have that detail.
Is there an idea of the victim yet?
I'm sorry?
The ID of the victim?
We're not releasing any of the victim information at this time.
Was the officer aware of any behavioral conditions or concerns or threats prior to this incident?
We were not.
How quickly did officers arrive on scene from the 911 call to when they engaged the suspect?
We will get you that information. I don't have that currently. I assume that would be a question that was asked, but I mean, it was almost immediately. That FSU, obviously this is their campus, and they patrol it very well. So they were on scene almost immediately, engaged almost immediately, and then everyone else, again, was a massive, very quick response.
I know that you said that the two deceased were not students. Do we know of those 5 that were injured or any of them students?
Again, we're not releasing any information on the students on the victims at this point.
Specifically, what firearms did he use?
I'm sorry?
What kind of firearm was he using?
It was a handgun.
What kind of handgun?
I don't know what type of handgun that was. It was probably a 40. I don't know.
Yeah. Chief, I heard it reported that a shotgun was also recovered on campus. Was that used in the shooting?
We do know that he had a shotgun with him. We have not confirmed anyone was shot with a shotgun at this point. But again, that could change as we, again, there are hundreds and hundreds of witnesses, and as we piece all of this back together, information will come to light that we may not have at this point. So I do not believe so at this point.
We'll take one more question.
Do we know how many shots?
Radio dispatch or any logs being released in the near future?
I'm sorry, say again.
Will there be any body cam footage or radio dispatch logs or incident reports being released anytime soon?
We will work with the state attorney's office, which we always do, in pulling together all the information, all the investigative evidence from this case, and in collaboration with State Attorney Campbell, we will make that determination. Obviously, after the case is over, we will certainly, it all becomes available at that point. But as to what we can and will release at that point, like I said before, we're very open, transparent on these things. Again, the officers did an incredible job. But again, some of this is very horrific. This is a horrific incident. And so we will, again, collaborate with the state attorney's office and determine which of that evidence could be released or will not be released. But again, I'll let you know that as soon as we make that determination. So thank you all very much. Appreciate you being here. And just let me reiterate what's already been said. The collaboration between all of the agencies, the federal, the state, the local, all of our first responders, our EMS personnel, our fire department, again, just a massive response, immediate treatment to the victims that were there, the transport of them. Again, it was a very seamless response to this tragedy. And that goes to the training that we all do repeatedly, individually as agencies and together. The incident command came together very, very quickly. And again, I could not be more proud of the response and more horrified at the act. So thank you very much.
Can you please just real quick verify one more time the number of people injured and dead? Our number was 8. I heard you say 9.
Sure. Total number of 9. That includes the suspect. So there are 6 victims that are injured, 2 victims that are dead, and 1 suspect. And that's, let me just reiterate this because I'm not sure we said this. We have no reason to believe at this point that he did not act alone. So there is no further threat to our community at this point. So thank you very much.
All right. We've been listening to police officials and school officials at Florida State University responding, filling us in on that shooting today. That was Chief Lawrence Revel of the Tallahassee Police Department describing what he called a horrific incident. We know now that 2 are deceased. The shooter was shot. The suspect is in custody, and then we also have 6 who are in the hospital. With me now is Anna Schechter. She covers crime and public safety for CBS News and Stations. Anna, do I have those numbers right, first of all? And second of all, what else did you hear from the briefing?
Well, my big takeaway was that the suspect is the son of a deputy in the sheriff's office, the local Leon County Sheriff's Office, and that he actually used a weapon, a handgun, that was previously her service weapon that had been retired. She purchased the handgun, and he was able to obtain that. He was also active with the sheriff's office and had been part of sort of a youth group and had gone through some training, so they weren't surprised that he was able to have access to a weapon.
And the chief there described that he engaged with officers, but there were no shots exchanged.
That's right, but he did not comply with their instructions. They fired, and he was injured.
And we also learned that this deputy in the Leon County Sheriff's Office will not be on any administrative leave or anything related to that. This weapon, as you mentioned, was formerly in service, had been replaced by a new one. Apparently in the sheriff's office you can buy your old service weapon, and that was what this is.
That's right. But that, I mean, we both looked at each other. That was really surprising moment. The other thing that struck me was just how confusing these numbers can be. He said a total of 9 people, 6 injured, 2 deceased, plus the suspect. Initially, when he first began, this is the police chief I'm talking about, the press conference, he said 5 injured.
Yes.
So even for the police chief who is there overseeing this, there's just so much information that moves so quickly that it's complicated. And so that's why we're so careful when we report these numbers in the immediate aftermath of something like this.
Such a great point. Anna Schechter, thank you so much. Our coverage of the deadly Florida State University shooting will continue on CBS News 24/7, your local news, and tonight on the CBS Evening News. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm John Dickerson.
Juliette Goodrich, we continue to follow the breaking news out of Tallahassee, Florida. Police just wrapping up a press conference on their investigation on the Florida State campus. And as we heard, 2 students were killed, several others injured. So let's go to our breaking news correspondent, Chanel Call. Chanel, police identifying the shooter, and I might add actually that they were saying that the 2 that were the victims that were killed are not students, actually.
That's right. Getting a lot more details this hour on what unfolded earlier this afternoon, Jules. Police now say a gunman opened fire on campus at Florida State University at around 11:50 this morning, shooting multiple people. We were told 2 people were killed. Police say neither of those 2 people were students, and 5 others were taken to a local hospital with gunshot wounds. It appears that there is a bit of a discrepancy around the numbers because later in the news conference, one of the officials had said 9 people in total were impacted by this. So we'll try to get some clarity on exactly how many people were in fact injured. The alleged shooter, I should mention, police say is a student at FSU and was also injured in that encounter with police. He's now been identified as 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner and notably identified as the son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Police say this 20-year-old man had access to one of his mother's service weapons, and one of those weapons, a handgun, they say, was actually found at the scene at FSU today. Eichner also, police say, was part of a youth advisory council for this county, painting a more clear picture of the suspect in this case and how ingrained in his community he appeared to be. This afternoon, authorities call this a heinous crime. As for what's happening on the scene right now on campus, police are saying, Jules, there are multiple crime scenes at play here. I mean, we're talking about a really huge campus. FSU is about 500 acres. And so the part of the campus where the shooting happened, the Student Union building, was a busy, vibrant part of campus. You know, it was around lunchtime when all of this unfolded, and that area is now closed off to students and closed off to the public. They call it an active crime scene. Classes there have also been canceled, Jules, until Friday. We're also told athletic activities have been canceled until Sunday. But at this point, you know, the top line here is that police do have the person that they believe to be the gunman in custody. They say that person was injured in some kind of encounter with police. And notably, this is someone who they say is the son of a county sheriff's deputy and used his mother's weapon in this shooting on campus today.
Yeah, obviously so much to unpack here in this investigation. You could see in the investigators' eyes just how hard it was to deliver that message, knowing the deputy's son was the suspect or alleged suspect. Chanel, thank you so much for that information. Obviously an ongoing story right now. We'll continue to follow it throughout the afternoon. America Decides with Major Garrett is next with continuing coverage of this deadly shooting on the Florida State University campus in Tallahassee. Stay with us. You're watching CBS News 24/7.